Championship. We saw the most memorable and historic cashing in of that just 2 years ago at WrestleMania when Seth Rollins cashed it in the main event against Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar to win his first title. And he is actually a big part of this pay-per-view. He never lost that title. He had to vacate it due to injury, and he has just returned now from that injury as of a few weeks ago, and he will be taking on Roman Reigns for the title in the main event of the pay-per-view, in addition to the big Money in the Bank ladder match. What are some of the other matches we got on the match card?
Oh, we got AJ Styles, John Cena.
Wow, another huge match.
Yes.
One of two matches that they're referring to as what?
WrestleMania caliber matches.
And, and I honestly agree with that. I don't disagree with that marketing standpoint. It's just, it is a little sickening how often they force feed it to us here the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
But what else do we got?
We got the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match for the WWE Tag Team Championships. New Day versus Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, or the Club, versus Enzo Amore and Big Cass, and versus the Vaudevillains.
All right. Who's all in that Money in the Bank briefcase match? Basically the co-main event as I view it.
There's 6 men participating in this match. One of them is Kevin Owens, another Cesaro, Sami Zayn, Chris Jericho, Dean Ambrose, and lastly, Alberto Del Rio.
All right. Do we have any other title matches at this show?
We have Rusev defending the U.S. title against Titus O'Neil.
All right. And then what would be the other matches on the main show card?
Charlotte and Dana Brooke face Natalya and Becky Lynch in a tag team match.
Okay. And then we've got 2 pre-show matches as well, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What would those be?
Dolph Ziggler versus Baron Corbin, regular match.
For the 1,000th time it feels like already, but okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And then Apollo Crews versus Sheamus in another normal match, singles.
Wow. All right. Well, it's interesting pre-show at least there, and a phenomenal match card for the actual show itself. All right. Well, I think what we'll do here is we'll go through what we believe to be the show, kind of in order of how you'll watch it. We'll start with the pre-show matches, and then we'll go through the regular show matches, at least in the order of what we believe them to be biggest or most important. Saving for last and give you just kind of our takes on what to expect, where they're at in their storylines and feuds right now to begin with, and what our predictions for the matches are. So we'll start then in the pre-show match with the Dolph Ziggler versus Baron Corbin singles match. They've faced off a couple times now, both on Raw, on other pay-per-view pre-shows as well. It is definitely a Baron Corbin push. This feud is. Ziggler is obviously the veteran trying to lend credibility and job and help get a new talent over. That is very obvious. However, that being said, the way it's been booked with the victories, it wouldn't surprise me for Dolph to come out with a victory here because he's really been getting squashed the whole time. And if they could put one more match then on Raw or whatever and have Corbin win that, destroy him, something. To have Corbin ultimately win the feud. But if this isn't the final time they're encountering each other in their feud, I could see Ziggler winning it. That being said, though, I think smart money goes on the guy getting the push, which is Baron Corbin. So I will predict Baron Corbin to win this match, but it won't shock me if Dolph does get a victory somehow. What do you think?
I think it's Baron Corbin as well, because their first pay-per-view feud match was Payback. Dolph won that. Extreme Rules, Baron Corbin won that one. And then we also had a Raw segment where Dolph Ziggler basically just low-blowed Baron Corbin, which would make more sense if Baron Corbin won this match at Money in the Bank.
Right, which even though technically then Baron Corbin gets the win via DQ, because Dolph did it intentionally and, was the one that didn't have any damage done to him, he kind of wins that segment or that story, that chapter in their storyline, I would say. I guess all really good points on why Baron should probably come out on top here, and then hopefully they look to move him into something else, maybe an IC picture or another feud with a veteran, or the United States title picture, who knows, something other than Dolph Ziggler, for crying out loud. But okay, so then the other singles matchup, which to me is really curious, you've got last year's Money in the Bank winner. Okay, the guy who won the Money in the Bank briefcase last year, Sheamus, is not even on the main card this year.
And he successfully cashed in as well. Like, he actually won the world title in his cash-in, and now he's being pushed to pre-show status. Like, that is a big drop.
Pre-show status with a green newbie. Not just a new guy to the company, but I mean, he's fairly green at wrestling as well, too. Like, he doesn't have the 10, 15 years of indie experience that a lot of these other Kevin Owens and Sami Zayns and AJ Styles and New Era, as they're labeling it now, people. He's really more one of the true new guys, like a Baron Corbin, who's still, just training and growing in the business and getting his shot now. So it's a really interesting veteran versus newbie match. I can't see them. I can't see them taking away from Sheamus's character with a loss to Apollo Crews in a pre-show. And also devaluing last year's pay-per-view and the Money in the Bank briefcase. Like, I think they need to protect those characters and those story pieces. And I think that points to a Sheamus victory. Don't get me wrong, Apollo Crews will look good in this match, and probably provide some highlights, but Sheamus has to win. Or, Apollo Crews can get a victory, technically, but Sheamus destroys him in the process, and it's just a DQ or something like that. That'd be the only way Apollo, I think, gets a victory. But I think Sheamus Bro kicks his head off and walks out on top and promoting his new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that it's just a simple revenge story in terms of Sheamus was not added into the Money in the Bank match because he lost it. He attacked Apollo Crews backstage, and then Sheamus faced Zack Ryder on Raw, beat up Zack Ryder. Apollo Crews came in, saved his buddy. It's just a revenge story for basically both. Sheamus is upset that he's not in the Money in the Bank, and Apollo Crews is upset that basically he hurt his friend and he hurt him.
Right.
But I think that Sheamus will win the match, and I think it's a good way to promote TMNT out of the shadows.
Yeah, which I guarantee you that they will be doing plenty of that before, during, and after this pre-show match. All right, so let's go to then the main card matches, and I would think that the most trivial, unimportant one would be the Divas match, or the women's match, excuse me. And I don't say that because we're not fans of women's wrestling or anything like that. We are. We're big proponents on the Diva/Women's Revolution. We helped that over the past couple of years, as a matter of fact. Both myself and Doug Sanders. So we're all for women's pro wrestling, but this match just has the one match we get on the card has no title on the line. It has a really weak feud and premise for the storyline going on that's borderline just pathetic. It's just a mashup of, well, here's these four people that we want to work, so just throw them together and make a bunch of nonsense. But we've got the current women's champion, Charlotte, teaming up with Dana Brooke, who is a newbie call-up from NXT, and of course Charlotte has NXT ties as well. That's why it makes sense. And they'll be taking on Natalya versus Becky Lynch because they're both foreign. Neither one of them are American, so that makes sense for them to be allies. And they're both good guys. So there you go. That's all the logic you need to know what's going on here in the storyline. There is no stipulation or anything like that. It's not like a submission match or a 2 out of 3 or an elimination or nothing. It's just a mashup tag team match to bury the title so the title doesn't have to be defended by Charlotte on this pay-per-view. And because of that, I think it makes more sense to have the team of Natalya and Becky Lynch win, and then hopefully propel that into Becky Lynch's feud versus Charlotte for the championship coming up here over the next 1 to 2 pay-per-view cycles. That's what I would think. So to me, Charlotte and Dana Brooke definitely lose this match to Natalya and Becky Lynch. What do you think?
Well, first off, I have to say that increasingly, every single time I see Charlotte as the champion, it reminds me more and more of Nikki Bella's run in like 2014 to 2015. Someone who just like really doesn't defend the title often, and if she does defend it, it's under really heavy circumstances of how she retains it.
Yep, she wins dirty by running away or getting interference help.
And now she has a Brie Bella for her, and now she's in a tag team match like Nikki was in most of her time in her run. But personally, I have to differ with Charlotte and Dana Brooke winning this. Mainly because I feel that on Raw, Charlotte did lose a match, and it looked like it looked embarrassing, you know, like they feel like they need to redeem themselves from the embarrassing non-title loss on Raw. And I feel that they're going to win this match at Money in the Bank just so they can say, oh yeah, that was just a flunk. We're still the top bad guys. Like these girls, these good girls that think they can beat us, they can't beat us. You know, I think that's what's going to happen. I think Shawn and Dana Brooke will win this match simply because they want to redeem themselves and say they're powerful.
Well, it makes the title and the championship look stronger with going that route. Plus, it gives the newest call-up a victory, a pay-per-view victory as well. So I totally see those points.
My one circumstance is that Natalya will be pinned as well. I don't want Becky Lynch to be pinned in this match.
Definitely. Boy, looking at the four competitors now, Natalya is definitely the most likely to be pinned, I think, of the four. Mm-hmm. You know, I can't disagree with that one bit. However, I could see Dana Brooke getting pinned, mm-hmm. and then, you know, Charlotte's mad at her, and maybe that splits them up, turns Dana Brooke face, and maybe Dana and Charlotte are the next little pay-per-view feud or whatever for the title, as opposed to Becky Lynch. But yeah, so we're split on that one. Cool, I like that. You're going with Charlotte and Dana, which I think's a good pick. I don't know, I'm just feeling Natalya and Becky Lynch.
He's some good guy.
All right, so what do we got next here? Probably the United States title, huh? Oh, jeez. What? So in the United States Championship match, we have newly returned from mandatory making physical contact with Vince McMahon suspension, Titus O'Neil, taking on current champ Rusev, accompanied by his ravishing Russian fiancée in real life, Lana. And there is there a number less than zero? Because there's like negative 100% chance that Titus O'Neil wins this match. Titus O'Neil has no chance in this match whatsoever. I don't see anything other than it being a squash match against another fairly big guy. That's Titus's whole point. You know, to kind of help build and establish Rusev as a top heel again in the company. That's the only point I see to this match at all. Going Rusev in a snoozer, and just a squash.
Rusev, nothing else to say. Let's move on.
All right, cool, awesome. So, even though it is an awesome match card, we do have two matches on the match card that we're not overly. We don't have very high expectations for. But now we get into the first of four matches. That's right, 4 epically awesome matches.
Like the Four Horsemen.
Right, that should all be incredible and well worth watching the pay-per-view. And we're going to start with the Fatal 4-Way for the Tag Team Championships. The Tag Team Championships currently held by the Faction New Day, which is 3 people, Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods. They operate under Freebird rules where any 2 of the 3 can defend the belts and participate in championship matches, but the third one always acts then as a manager of sorts. They will be defending versus Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, as well as Enzo Amore and Big Cass, and the Vaudevillains. Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows are veterans, come over from TNA in Japan now, although WWE won't say anything about TNA, they just talk about Japan. They're linked to AJ Styles, who is, in a bigger storyline on a bigger individual star level than anyone else in this match. So because of their affiliation with him, it wouldn't surprise me if they ended the New Day's Tag Team Championship reign and took the belts. That being said, Enzo Amore and Big Cass are arguably as over